The hard truth. Why chasing kills attraction. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. You have been systematically lied to for decades. From the time you were a child, movies, music, and even well meaning advice from people who don't understand the game have told you that the key to a woman's heart is persistence. They told you to be the nice guy, to buy the flowers, to send the good morning texts, and to keep chasing until she finally realizes how great you are and gives in. But here is the cold, hard reality that most men are too afraid to hear. Chasing never works. In fact, it does the exact opposite of what you want. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. The more you push, the more she pulls away. It's a biological reflex. When you chase, you are communicating one thing very loudly: that you are of lower value than she is. You are showing her that you have nothing better to do with your time than to hunt for her approval, and that is the ultimate attraction killer. The reason chasing is so destructive is that it is rooted in desperation, and desperation is a scent that people can smell from a mile away. It tells a woman that you don't have other options, that your life isn't particularly exciting, and that you are willing to compromise your own dignity just for a crumb of her attention. Women aren't looking for a man who bends over backwards to please them at his own expense. They aren't looking for a fan or a servant. They are biologically wired to crave a man who is a leader, someone who has his own mission, values his own time, and doesn't need external validation from anyone to feel powerful. When you chase, you aren't leading, you are following. You are putting her on a pedestal. And the problem with putting someone on a pedestal is that they have no choice but to look down on you. Respect is the foundation of attraction, and it is impossible for a woman to respect a man who doesn't respect his own time enough to stop begging for hers. Many men mistakenly believe that turning the tables and making a woman chase involves playing manipulative mind games or acting like someone they aren't. They think they have to be mean or cold, but the truth is far simpler and much more powerful than that. It's not about being a jerk, it's about a fundamental shift in your psychology and your positioning. It's about realizing that you are the prize. When you master your mindset and stop acting like she is the sun that your entire world revolves around, the entire dynamic flips on its head. You have to understand that attraction is not a choice she makes. It's a biological response to the value you project. If you are always available, always texting, and always trying to prove yourself, your value drops to zero because you are too easy to get. But when you focus on your own growth, your own business, and your own standards, you create a vacuum that she naturally wants to fill. This is where the magic happens. When you stop the chase and start living for yourself, the woman who used to ignore your texts or leave you on read suddenly starts to notice a shift in the air. She starts wondering why you aren't seeking her out anymore. She begins to question if she's lost her hold on you, and that uncertainty is what triggers her interest. Suddenly, she is the one leaning in. She's the one sending the first text or checking your social media to see what you're up to. She can't stop thinking about you because you've become a mystery to solve rather than a predictable guy she already has in her pocket. This isn't about being toxic, it's about being real. It's about waking up to the hidden rules of human behavior that no one taught you. By following these rules, you move from being the man women merely tolerate for free favors and attention to being the man they deeply desire and actively chase. 1. Stop chasing, start ignoring. The fundamental truth of human nature is that we are biologically wired to overlook anything that is handed to us on a silver platter. The more you chase a woman, the less she values you, because your constant pursuit signals that you have a low market price. Think about it. When you are texting her nonstop, double messaging when she doesn't reply, and constantly checking her social media stories the second they go live, you are broadcasting a very loud, very desperate message. You are essentially screaming, I have absolutely nothing better going on in my life than you. This is the ultimate attraction killer because it robs the relationship of any tension or mystery. There is nothing less magnetic than a man who treats a woman like the ultimate prize before she has even proven she has a personality that fits his life. By making her the center of your universe prematurely, you aren't showing her love. You're showing her that your world is empty and she will instinctively want to escape that emptiness. If she knows that no matter how she treats you or how long she takes to reply, you'll still be there wagging your tail like a loyal puppy, she gets bored. The challenge is gone, the conquest is over, and her attraction dies because there is no mountain left for her to climb. The shift you need to make is simple, but it requires ironclad discipline. You must reclaim your value by pulling back. This isn't about being cruel, being a jerk, or playing childish mind games. It is about the power of scarcity. When you stop being the one who always initiates, when you stop being the one who is always available for a last minute hangout, and when you stop hovering over your phone waiting for a notification, you create a vacuum. By giving less of your time, less of your energy, and less of your focus, you force her into a psychological state of curiosity. She will start asking herself the most powerful question a woman can ask about a man: why isn't he running after me like everyone else? This question is the tiny spark that leads to obsession. When you are the only guy who isn't falling all over himself to impress her, you become an anomaly, a mystery she feels compelled to solve. By respecting yourself enough to stop over investing in someone who isn't matching your effort, you flip the script entirely. You move from the position of the seeker to the sought. You force her to make a choice. Either she realizes your value and steps up to earn your attention, or she risks losing access to you forever. And believe me, a woman who truly values herself will always move toward the man who isn't afraid to walk away. 2. Nice guys repel, confidence attracts. We've all been fed the myth that being the nice guy is the fast track to a woman's heart. But here is the bitter pill. Being too nice doesn't make her want you, it makes her avoid you. In the world of dating, nice is often a mask for weak. Over politeness, constant agreement, and the habit of putting her needs above your own before a real bond is formed feel fake and manipulative. A woman's intuition is incredibly sharp. She can sense when a man is being extra nice just because he's trying to buy her affection or keep her from leaving. This energy repels her instantly because it reveals a man who is desperate for her approval. She doesn't want a man who is a mirror of her own opinions or a yes man who refuses to rock the boat. She wants a man who is solid, a man who already approves of himself so deeply that he doesn't need her to validate his existence. When you lack that internal approval, your niceness becomes a burden she has to carry, and that is the opposite of attraction. Confidence is the secret sauce that makes kindness actually work. A truly confident man can be kind, but his kindness is magnetic because it's a choice, not a requirement for survival. He has firm boundaries and isn't afraid to say no or voice a different opinion. If she says something you don't agree with, don't just laugh nervously and nod your head to stay in her good graces. Stand your ground. Express your perspective with a smile and without apology. When you do this, you show her that you have a backbone, and that strength is what sparks genuine desire. She will respect the man who stays true to his own identity far more than the one who camouflages his personality just to please her. Niceness without a backbone isn't a virtue, it's just submission. And while submission might get you a friend label, it will never, ever spark the raw, visceral desire that leads to a real chase. 3. Scarcity is your greatest currency. In any market, whether it's high-end watches or human attraction, scarcity is what creates value. Gold is precious because you can't find it everywhere. Water is cheap because it comes out of every tap. If your attention, your time, and your presence are always available to her, she will instinctively take them for granted. By being constantly on call, replying to every text within seconds, and being ready to drop everything the moment she calls, you effectively flood the market with your own supply. You kill the curiosity that fuels attraction and remove any reason for her to wonder about you. You have to understand that a woman's attraction is like a fire. It needs oxygen to breathe. If you are constantly smothering the flame with your presence, you'll put it out. Space and scarcity are the oxygen that allows her feelings for you to grow. This is why having your own goals, your own mission, and your own life is the most attractive thing you can do. You shouldn't just pretend to be busy to look cool. You should actually be busy building an empire, hitting the gym, and pursuing your passions. When your time is genuinely rare because you are focused on your own growth, she starts to see your attention as a limited resource. When she realizes she has to fit into your schedule and respect your time rather than you rearranging your entire life to suit her whims, her perception of you changes. You stop being a choice and start becoming a prize. Women are naturally, biologically drawn to men who are difficult to lock down because earning the time of a high value man who is focused on his purpose feels like a massive achievement. When you make yourself scarce, you aren't playing hard to get. You are simply being a man of value who knows that his time is the most precious thing he owns. 4. Stop giving your power away for free. Too many men walk through life treating a woman's attention like it is a rare gift from the heavens, something they should be eternally grateful for just to witness. This mindset is the quickest way to find yourself at the bottom of the social food chain. When you treat a simple text, a smile, or a date like it's worth more than gold, you inevitably start paying for that attention with the only real currencies you have: your dignity, your hard earned money, and your mental focus. You have to realize that if you are offering the whole loaf, your absolute loyalty, your constant availability, and your financial resources, while she is only offering you crumbs of low effort replies and flaky plans, the trade deal is broken. You've already lost the game because you've signaled that your value is low and hers is infinite. Attention is a currency, and just like in any economy, if you overpay for a cheap product, you end up emotionally and mentally bankrupt. You become a fan instead of a peer, and nobody is ever truly attracted to their fans. The moment you want to change the dynamic, you have to stop treating her like the prize and start acting like you are the one who needs to be won over. Your energy, your ambition, and your presence are the most valuable assets you own, and you should never hand them out to someone who hasn't earned them. If she isn't matching your effort, stop working overtime to get a reply. Don't be the guy who sends a paragraph to a girl who only sends back a one-word answer. Many men fall into the trap of becoming a woman's emotional valet, someone she keeps around just enough to give her an ego boost when she's bored, while she saves her real passion and energy for a man who doesn't beg for her time. You have to shut off the tap. The moment you stop giving her free, unlimited access to your power and your attention, the balance shifts. By becoming a limited resource, you force her to realize that your presence is a privilege, not a right. If she wants your energy, she has to fight to get it back. And that struggle is exactly what builds respect and desire. 5. Master the energy, not the script. Here is a truth that will save you years of frustration. Women do not fall for sweet words, rehearsed lines, or romantic poetry. They fall for energy. Most men spend hours overthinking the perfect text message or trying to find the magic script that will make a woman like them. They rely on heavy flattery and empty sweetness, but sweetness without underlying masculine desire is bland and forgettable. This safe approach is exactly how you end up in the friend zone. When you act like a nice, sweet guy who is too afraid to show his teeth, she might enjoy your company, but she won't feel that visceral, biological spark. She feels safe with you. And while safety is good for a friendship, it is the absolute death of sexual attraction. You don't talk a woman into wanting you. You make her feel a tension that words can't describe. That tension comes from sexual energy, the unspoken vibe that communicates you are a man who is unapologetically aware of his own masculinity. It's in the way you hold eye contact just a second longer than a friend would, the grounded certainty in your voice when you speak, and your relaxed, expansive posture that shows you aren't intimidated by her beauty. It's about being a man who isn't ashamed of his attraction, but doesn't feel the need to beg for it either. You don't need to be aggressive or disrespectful. You just need to be solid and immovable. While every other guy in her DMs is sending cute emojis and asking for her permission to exist, the man who radiates raw masculine presence is the one who occupies her mind when she's alone. She isn't thinking about the sweet poem someone sent her. She's thinking about the man whose energy made her heart race without him saying a single romantic word. Master the energy, and the words won't even matter. 6. The power of having options. The single biggest mistake you can make in the world of attraction is putting one woman on a pedestal and acting as if she is the only option in the entire world. This one-itis creates a heavy, clinging energy that women can detect from a mile away. When a man feels like he has no other choices, he becomes needy, reactive, and defensive. He tolerates disrespect, ignores his own boundaries, and compromises his standards just to keep her around. This lack of options is a massive red flag because it tells her that no other women want him, which leads her to wonder why she should want him either. When you have no exit strategy, you have no power. You become a puppet on a string, constantly adjusting your behavior to keep her happy, which ironically makes her lose interest even faster. Options give you the ultimate power, the power of the walk away. This isn't about being a player or bragging about other women. It's about the quiet, internal confidence that comes from knowing your life is full of opportunities. When you aren't afraid to lose her, you move differently. Your body language is relaxed, your tone is direct, and you don't overanalyze every little interaction. You aren't desperately trying to keep her because you know your value is high and your world is abundant. Ironically, when a woman senses that you don't need her because your life is focused on your mission and you have the social value to attract others, she will work 10 times harder to keep your attention on her. She wants to be the one who finally locks down the man who has the power to leave. The man who is willing to walk away the moment his standards aren't met is always the one who stays in control of the dynamic. Abundance is magnetic. Scarcity of options is a prison. Build a life so good that any woman is a welcome addition, but nobody is a necessity. 7. Mystery triggers obsession. If you want a woman to chase you, you have to stop being an open book that can be read in one sitting. One of the biggest mistakes men make today is oversharing every detail of their lives, their past, and their daily routines within the first few hours of meeting someone. They think that by being transparent, they are building a connection, but in reality, they are killing the curiosity that fuels attraction. Human beings are biologically wired to be fascinated by the unknown. When you give away everything about yourself too quickly, you leave her with nothing to wonder about. And when there is no wonder, there is no mental investment. You have to understand that the more she has to work to figure you out, the more space you occupy in her mind. And the more she thinks about you when you aren't around, the deeper her attraction grows. You want to be the puzzle she can't quite solve on the first try. Mystery is not about being cold, distant, or playing immature games. It's about the art of holding back. You should let her experience you in small, high quality doses rather than flooding her with information. Think about your favorite TV show. You don't get the whole plot in the first 5 minutes. You come back week after week because of the cliffhangers and the unanswered questions. That is exactly how you should position yourself. When she asks what you're doing, you don't need to provide a play by play of your entire afternoon. A simple, vague, yet confident answer is far more effective. When she has to wonder where you are, who you're with, or what you're thinking, she is actively investing her mental energy in you. This mental work is what creates obsession. Once you have successfully planted yourself in her thoughts during the hours you are apart, you have already won the game of attraction. 8. Self respect beats validation seeking. Seeking validation is perhaps the most glaring sign of internal weakness a man can show. Every time you ask a woman, "Do you like this outfit?" or "What do you think of me?" or every time you fish for a compliment to boost your ego, you are handing her the remote control to your emotions. You are essentially telling her that your self worth is not something you possess, but something she has the power to grant or take away. This is a massive weight to put on a woman, and it is the fastest way to kill the respect she has for you. Women are not attracted to men they have to constantly prop up or reassure like a child. They are attracted to men who are so grounded in their own value that they don't even think to ask for an outside opinion. When you look to a woman to confirm your worth, you are signaling that you are below her, and desire cannot exist in a dynamic where she feels she is the one holding all the power.